Hello, everyone. Let's talk about some uncelebrated 70s debut albums. Let's start off here with an album from 1972, an album that not many people talk about in this particular artist's discography. I'm talking about Richard Thompson's Henry the Human Fly from 1972. This is an absolute classic album, maybe for the fact that it was Warner Brothers' worst selling album, according to Warner Brothers, one of the worst selling albums in their catalog. But I got to tell you, it is one of my favorite albums of all time. And yeah, it's a funky little cover. Here's the back cover. His first album without Fairport Convention. This album is a singer-songwriter's delight. The first track, Roll Over Vaughan Williams, has the most amazing, original, unique guitar sound I've ever heard on a song. And just the whole album is just full of just like folk rock gems. Nobody's Wedding, two of my absolute favorite songs on the album. One called The Poor Ditching Boy, and another one called Painted Ladies, are just unbelievable tracks. It's just one stellar track after another. This is Richard Thompson at a real, as far as like a singer-songwriter height right here. So, and even at the end of the album, it just keeps flowing and just keeps getting better. Those last two tracks, The Old Changing Way and Twisted, ending the record. I mean, this is just a near perfect album. There's guest appearances from Sandy Denny, his wife at the time named Linda Peters. Also would be his wife to be Linda Thompson. They would go on and record albums together. In fact, the next album, I Want to See the Bright Lights Tonight, would be a joint venture, and that is a fantastic record. But this, for me, will always be my favorite Richard Thompson album. If you've never heard this album, check it out. Ryko Disc released, years ago, a really well remastered version of this album. No bonus cuts or anything, but yeah. Henry the Human Fly from Richard Thompson from 1972, a stellar debut album. How about 1977's New Boots and Panties from Ian Dury? What a unique artist this guy was, right? This album did nothing in the US, by the way. Didn't even chart. It was huge in the UK. Of course, one of his biggest hits here on KROQ FM was Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll. That was a huge hit. That's a bonus cut on here. But this is just some fun, unique kind of dance music with some incredible wordplay by Ian Dury, a lot of quips and one-liners. Wake Up and Make Love With Me starts the album off. Sweet Gene Vincent. Got Clever Trevor on here, Blockheads, Black Mailman. There are 5 bonus tracks, as said before: Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll, Razzle in My Pocket, You're More Than Fair, England's Glory Live, and you've got What a Waste. A completely unique talent, and he died many years ago. But if you've never heard any of Ian Dury's early catalog, this is a good place to start here with New Boots and Panties from 1977, a fine debut album. Another great one. I love the early Tom Waits discography. His debut album, Closing Time from 73, is another just singer-songwriter classic. When people talk about Tom Waits, it's usually his later period, like Swordfish Trombones or Rain Dogs. And those are fine albums, but I like when he's more the singer-songwriter, troubadour kind of musician. He was discovered at the Troubadour. David Geffen loved him, signed him. So it starts off here. This album starts off with Old 55, a song covered by the Eagles. And you have just gorgeous ballads on here, like I Hope That I Don't Fall in Love with You, Martha. Other great tracks like Rosie. Oh yeah, and Lonely, Ice Cream Man. The final track, Closing Time, just another fantastic debut from the 1970s that not a lot of people talk about. And not a lot of people talk about early Tom Waits, like this album, The Heart of Saturday Night, and that third album, which is my absolute favorite, Nighthawks at the Diner, the double live album, recorded in a studio, but it makes it sound like it's at a nightclub. All 3 of those first albums by Tom Waits are fantastic. And this one, if you've never heard it, check it out. It's a fine debut from 1973. Tom Waits, Closing Time. How about a very understated debut album? It has just incredible tracks across the disc. I'm talking about J.J. Cale's Naturally from 1972. Couple of notable songs on here. Call Me the Breeze, covered by Leonard Skinner. We've got, what do we have here? After Midnight, of course, covered by Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton was a huge fan of J.J. Cale. But some of my favorite tracks on here are, one being Magnolia, gorgeous track. We've got Woman I Love, Call the Doctor, Crazy Mama. Every track just kind of flows into, it's almost kind of like this kind of meditative kind of album. Very rootsy, very lo-fi, very low key. His voice is barely audible at times. It's just like he's not really putting it out there, but that's the whole style of this album. It's very rootsy, low down kind of music. And I love it. The guitar is very clean. Just a fantastic debut here from 1972 from J.J. Cale, the album called Naturally. Good stuff. Another album that not many people talk about, even VU fans, Velvet Underground fans, don't really talk about this album much. Fans of Lou Reed. When you talk about Lou Reed, it's always Berlin or it's Transformer. What about that debut from 1972, the self-titled album by Lou Reed? Fantastic. Interesting, too, there are two people from Yes playing on this album, Rick Wakeman and Steve Howe. And I read later that Lou Reed said this was probably his best set of songs, but he thought the production sucked. And the production isn't that great. I don't really pay much attention to production for the most part when I listen to music. I just like songs. I like good arrangements. And this album has a lot of that. You've got a lot of tracks that would later appear on the Velvet Underground compilation VU that weren't released between the third album and Loaded. Songs like I Can't Stand It, Lisa Says. You have Ocean, which is just an incredible track. Right Into the Sun, I think, which was on another VU compilation. Another View, I believe it was called. Wild Child supposedly was written around the late period of the Velvet Underground. I love that track. It's probably the most rocking tune on here. It's like really cool mid-tempo rocker. Then you have Walkin' and Talk It, which was later appear on the extended CD of the Loaded album. Just a really cool album. I like this kind of low-key Lou Reed vibe here on this album. So Lou Reed's debut album, the album right before Transformer came out. Both of them came out the same year in 1972. If you've never heard it, check it out. Lou Reed debut, 1972. Another great one is the debut from Crazy Horse. Of course, Neil Young's backup band. This is the only album that guitarist Danny Whitten played on in a Crazy Horse discography. Notable for the song called I Don't Want to Talk About It, which Rod Stewart made a big hit out of it. Great track. You got Dance, 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 which was a Neil Young track that was never featured on an album in the 70s. It was on some bootlegs, and now it's been on across many different Neil Young archive releases since. You got Downtown, which was originally called Come On Baby, Let's Go Downtown. That was originally released on the album Tonight's the Night by Neil Young. And that particular live version from that album was taken from the Fillmore East 1970. That is one of the best of all the many Neil Young archive releases over the years. If you never heard that Neil Young archive, Fillmore 1970, check that out. It features a very early performance from Crazy Horse, for the original Crazy Horse. You have Nils Lofgren on here on guitar. You got, of course, Danny Whitten. You got Jack Nietzsche on piano, Billy Talbot on bass, and drums, Ralph Molina, the classic Crazy Horse. Now, I don't know, I'm a huge Neil Young fan, and I love Crazy Horse. I also love the later Crazy Horse with Poncho, Frank Sampedro on guitar, and they would kind of beef their sound up with Rust Never Sleeps. But I love this early, raw Crazy Horse. Really, really cool stuff. I wouldn't call it a 5-star album, but I'd say it's a really fine, excellent 4-star record here. So if you've never heard it, you're into Neil, you're into this looseness, and I love the looseness of Crazy Horse. That's another thing. I love the way they play. It's loose, but it's also very, very soulful, very rocking. It's good stuff. Crazy Horse from 1971, their debut. Fantastic. How about the debut from Todd Rundgren? Runt. This is a really good debut album. I mean, Todd Rundgren in the 70s was just cranking out fantastic records. And this, of course, has the hit We Gotta Get You a Woman, which was like a top 20 hit in 1970. I love the first side of this album especially. Tracks like Who's That Man? That's really cool. Once Burned, Devil's Bite. Side B, I'm in the clique. There Are No Words, Birthday Carol. This is where it all starts solo for Todd Rundgren. Runt, 1970. This is coming right after the band, the Naz, that he was in. I think they put out about 3 albums. Runt from 1970, Todd Rundgren, another fine debut from the 70s. And last but not least, I'm going to put this one in here. I grew up with this album. My brother and sister played this continually. They were huge Poco fans, huge Buffalo Spring fans. You know I'm a fan of both those bands. And I love early Loggins and Messina. I love their first album, Sittin' In, from 71. So this originally was going to be a Kenny Loggins solo album. He was an unknown at the time. Jim Messina was going to produce the album. And as things progressed, Jim Messina kept, he was pretty much hands-on in the studio and helping out with the songwriting, helping out with the production, and eventually it became kind of a collaboration, an unexpected collaboration. I think one of the label execs at Columbia said, you know, you got a good thing going here. You got these harmonies going. You have great songwriting abilities, both of you, and the whole deal. And you'd be wasting a good opportunity to not go forward with this. So they did. So it was kind of almost kind of like just this unexpected thing, right? It was going to be a Kenny Loggins record, ended up being a Loggins and Messina record, and they ended up producing another like 5 or 6 records after this. But I think this is probably their best record, featuring one of Kenny Loggins' greatest tracks, Danny's Song. That is such a great track. The first song, Nobody But You, really rocks with that really, really unique style of playing by Jim Messina that he employed with those early Poco albums. And then you've got Vahivala, which is a really great upbeat song. And other songs like House at Pooh Corner, written by Loggins. Listen to a Country Song, Back to Georgia. Rock and Roll Mood. This is a really cool debut. Very, very kind of subtle. No one really talks about it. I think it's great. Sittin' In from Loggins and Messina from 1971. So let me know what you would like to throw in the comment section as far as uncelebrated albums, uncelebrated debut albums from the 70s, albums that should be listened to more or promoted a little more. Let me know in the comment section. Let me know. As always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you dig the content across the channel, press subscribe. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.